Paris and back and seen many, many things. Nothing is as bad as this. A boogeyman.
Yelling about! We came, we saw, we kicked its ass! Dark.
Hello. All good. Central viewing.
watching Space Babies?
I was watching Space Babies. Because it's required viewing now. No, not eventually. Hey! Hey!
Hey, Fulya.
Hey, can you hear us? Yay! I can hear you.
Yeah.
What?
My big monitor's got 4 freaking windows all set up in each corner.
Great.
Breath.
One thing I will say. But I'll
Yeah.
talk about Star Wars fine. It's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on a motherfucking dinosaur and tables definitely don't do that. For this is a Fred Failing Productions podcast.
Hey, you said the thing. You said all the
I
things.
said all the things.
Let's go.
Best of both worlds. Let's do it. Cue the music.
I don't know what we're yelling about! We came, we saw, we kicked its ass!
Finished. Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine? Kind of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it some style?
Who is this? What's your operating number?
Boring conversation anyway.
Whoa, we're gonna have company! Loud noises!
Hello,
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a Kendall Richardson.
I'm a Fulya and
And I'm the lip smacking Michael Lister. Enjoy that, future Fulya.
Lovely.
And you are experiencing a podcast called Fred.
Yes, experiencing it through the mediums of hopefully not too long this time. Maybe a good hour and a half.
Look, I'm a lot more well rested now than I was this time last week, so it should be a more coherent and we have less to talk about, so hopefully shorter show, yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. That being said, let's get right into it. Fulya,
Yes.
please take it away with the weekly watchings.
I've only been watching MasterChef this week. I've got nothing.
It's okay.
Honestly, I haven't really been, watching anything. I've just been trying to catch up with MasterChef in its current season, and I'm still a week behind regardless
I don't know what we're yelling about!
Okay. Cool.
I touched my earpiece and somehow that turned itself on. That's new.
The play button went
Oh my
rogue.
god. Oh my god. That made my day.
Look, Mum, no hands.
No hands.
All right. Continue, Fulya.
Sure.
And edit point.
Nah, keep it in. That was gold.
And you said we got nothing to talk about.
Dealer's choice. Dealer's choice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I've just been trying to catch up with MasterChef this past week because I'm a week behind, and just some of the stuff that they've been making, man, it's been insanely cool. And they just recently watched an episode where they actually ended up doing they had to put a flare on their dishes, like to finish it off, kind of like theatrics in front of the patron that's going to be eating the food. So that was actually pretty cool. And some of them really sort of blew my mind. Like someone made clouds that had flavor, which was cool. But they essentially used like a bubble maker, and that kind of created like this little tower of bubbles. But when you kind of inhale it or like bite into the bubbles, you get the flavor of it, whatever the flavor was. Yeah,
That
so it was
sounds
like,
cool.
yeah, very sort of scientific experimental style of stuff, and that's definitely a big theatric for that one. But yeah, no, it's been really good. I will just maybe touch on the fact that I've been trying to get myself into more of the old animated shows. More specifically, I've been scrolling through HBO Max, and I discovered that there is a library of DC animated shows that I've never watched before. So I'm like, maybe this will be kind of a small little step into the world of DC a bit more. And because I like my animated like shows and movies and all that sort of stuff, and so I decided to watch the first episode of Superman the animated show.
Cool.
I've watched the first episode. That's as far as I've gotten. It's just to sort of see whether I would enjoy it as much as a lot of other people have. And so far, that first episode, I knew that Superman had parents. I just didn't realize the stakes that ended up happening to their planet.
Yeah.
And who and stuff kind of did it. It was interesting. It was very interesting. And just meeting cute little puppy Crypto, and that was kind of cool. But yeah, like I never really realized the background lore to Superman until I watched this first episode of the animated series. So I am very intrigued. So I'll probably end up continuing the watch of Superman the animated series. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been watching.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's really.
I've
I'm
got
really
a few others in my watch list on HBO. So Batman is there because I have a feeling they kind of do crossovers with Superman.
Animated series?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a movie that actually ties them together. And then they do Justice League.
Yeah. So
if you want to continue down that way.
Yeah. They're in the watch list, so hopefully I'll sort of watch through them as I go when I don't have much else to watch, so we'll see.
And good half an hour chunk.
Yeah.
Probably less than that.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. That's very exciting to hear you entering the DC universe.
Yeah.
At last.
Yes. Getting there.
Getting there.
It's about time.
Sorry, I'm a little late.
It's okay.
Never too late to start your own adventure.
This is true. Yep.
Absolutely. Speaking of adventures, Mike, what have you been watching this week?
Coincidentally, I also watched a Superman. I watched the first Superman.
Ooh.
Christopher Reeve Superman?
The Christopher Reeve Superman.
Yeah, I watched that not long ago as well.
Yeah, because we were talking about it last week, and I thought, you know what? I need to sit down and watch this again. And I don't know what version it is on HBO Max, but I watched that one. I knew it was a different one because they didn't have the scene where Lois is the little girl and actually talking to her mum and dad on the train. It didn't have that, and it's like, oh, I missed that. Which version is this one? I don't know. Yeah, but having not watched it in years, I probably was a kid the last time I watched it. It definitely does hold up. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does hold up. It does.
I just wanted to confirm that was the one that you were talking about.
That is the one.
That is the one. All right, cool.
That is the one.
Put it on your list.
Yeah.
Just for like another taste of doing the mythos of Superman, where you get to see Krypton explode again.
Yay!
She ticked it. Oh, the powers of streaming. Yeah, so I watched that. It was so much fun. Yeah, and also me and the wife have finished the first season of Peacemaker. So
nice.
That's a fun time. And I showed her the second trailer. No, the second season of the trailer of the second season. And she's all excited. It's like, yay! So this is definitely the gateway drug into the new DC stuff. Will I convince her to watch Superman? I don't know. I say, hey, there's certain ties in the movie. I don't know. Probably, but I'll probably try and get her into like I don't know, Creature Commandos. But she doesn't really go for the animated stuff. But who knows? Who knows? Speaking of animated stuff, me and the kids have been watching stuff on Max as well. It's just either the Amazing World of Gumball, or for me, the regular show.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's basically it. I haven't really been watching much except for like stuff for Doctor Who, really, just to set me up for disappointment next week. But there you go. And also the stuff that we're going to be talking about later. So, what about you, Kendall?
What about
What have
me?
you been watching this week?
Yes. Yeah. I've a few things. Some really cool things. I'm just going to mention a couple. Starting with the penultimate episode of The Handmaid's Tale, the second last ever episode of the entire show. The finale airs this week, and I'm still processing it. And it's been like 5 days. Like, I was fucking destroyed by this, but like in the best way. It like they paid off like years of just building this conflict and this war between, you know, the nation that has taken over what used to be America, and you know, the free peoples of, you know, formerly of America, you know, and the, you know, and the women, the handmaids, finally getting some satisfying revenge, you know, and it was just executed so wonderfully. And then the episode ends in tragedy. And I'm not going to spoil it for anyone listening or watching who watches it and maybe hasn't seen it yet or is thinking of watching the show. But yeah, there was a scene at the end that finished the episode that just, yeah, one of my favorite characters died, and another character died as well, and it was just so shocking. And but it made sense. It wasn't, they didn't do it for, you know, like, oh my god, we're doing Game of Thrones and killing off people left, right, and center. It made sense for the story, in my opinion, and it was all kind of leading, for one of the characters, I think it was leading to their demise probably anyway. So I'm not angry about it. A lot of people in the fan world of Handmaid's Tale are a bit miffed by what happened, because you know, people have their ship wars. I didn't get involved in any of the shipping stuff with Handmaid's Tale because I was just there for the dystopian fucked upness of the story, and it's an incredible story. But yeah, and then, but it was just, I was in tears at the end of the episode. Took me a few minutes to calm down. But yeah, amazing television. If you haven't seen the show, you've got to add it to your list. It's so good. It's one of the best shows of modern television, I think. And I feel like it gets kind of slept on a little bit. Like early on when it started, it came out at the beginning of Trump's presidency, so it was very timely and appropriate. And now Trump's president again when the show's ending, so it's almost like a full circle moment in a way, considering the state of America now compared to then. So yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about politics. But I recommend the show very much. It's very good. The next thing I watched, I went to the movies this week, and I got to see Final Destination Bloodlines. Yeah, very pleased. Very, very pleased with this one. I've been hearing the reviews, and then Mike, you talked about it last week as well. And I was going in trying not to hype myself up too much, but still excited and a positive. I had a positive mindset sitting down to watch it, and yeah, it was great. I really love how they, this is the 6th film in the franchise, and they found a way to make it fresh again. They found a way to kind of put a new spin on an old thing, and these movies are really predictable in that pretty much your entire cast is going to die, right, when you sit down to watch these movies, because death is coming for them, and death is not something that they can easily stop because it comes for all of us in the end, right? But then even in this movie, they found a way to make it unpredictable and to make you go, okay. Like but I like how they did that. They set it up being like, okay, we know the order. Like, and they've done that before in past movies. We know the order of who's gonna die. But the way they flip the script and then just kind of, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but it was just great. It was good, and some of the kills were like the most graphic for the franchise that I've seen. But entertaining. Like, me and my best mate were just sitting there after each kill, just laughing and looking at each other like oh my god, like it was funny. It was a genuinely funny movie too, outside of the gore, and whatever humor you take from the way that our characters are killed. There was some genuine good laughs in it. Some of the characters were really well written, even though they're very well fleshed out, but they do their job. So yeah, it's nice to see horror, being number one at the box office worldwide. And especially this franchise, I did not ever expect to see a Final Destination movie making more money than Thunderbolts. Yeah, so it's really cool. Really cool. I liked it. I recommend, if you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of the franchise, definitely go see it on the big screen. It's worth it for sure. And then the last thing I mentioned, speaking of big screen, I went back to the cinema. Went back to the cinema on Friday. I took myself and the boyfriend, went to a special screening at Lido Cinemas here in Melbourne of a cult British comedy television show presented by one Zachary Ruane from Auntie Donna. And the show we watched was all 6 episodes of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. The exact reaction I was hoping for.
Yeah, she finally watched it.
Yes, it finally happened.
She did better than me. She paid money for it when you can actually watch it all online for free.
Yeah, it's all on YouTube, yeah. Yeah. So it's so funny because so Lee's talk, when my partner, we've been talking about the show. And then when I saw that Zach was doing a special screening of it, I was like, we've got to go see this. And then that screening, not only did it sell out, it got moved into the bigger cinema, and then he added 2 extra sessions. So when he was introducing it to us on Friday night, he was like, I didn't expect this response. I thought it was just going to be me and like 5 other people like just having the best time. And then and then we met a guy in line for popcorn who looked like Matt Berry, and he was dressed as Sanchez, with the coat and everything, and he was even British too. So it was perfect. He was perfect. That was funny. And we saw Zach see him because Zach walked past us when we were in line, and then he pointed out and like reacted really positively, and the guy was like, I'm really hoping you would see that. So I was like, oh, we got to witness a cool moment between them.
Did he react like an Auntie Donna boy should?
I mean,
over the top,
a little bit
loud.
A little bit, not full Auntie Donna style, but yeah, but loud enough. But no, yeah. This show is just comedy gold from start to finish. Like, I love my favorite thing about it is not just the performances. For me, it's the way they use comedy to do, like, in the editing and the way they put the show together and use the visual effects or lack thereof to kind of add that extra humor to it, like just these sudden sharp cuts, like something's been edited out and whatever, and all the times Richard Ayoade just looks at the camera when something's going on, and just one scene will a character will be standing there, and the next scene they'll be holding a shotgun. And then you cut back, and the shotgun just disappears. It's it's
continuity
just,
errors and ADR weird.
ADR up the wazoo. Oh man, I was losing my shit. It's so funny. So Fulya, I don't know if you know what the show is, but it's made by some of the comedians that were in like IT Crowd. Went on to do What We Do in the Shadows stuff. But yeah, it's a show about a show, I guess, because it's the author Garth Marenghi. He's a horror author, and he's like talking about he made the show that the world wasn't ready for, and we weren't allowed to screen it, and now finally we can screen it. And I've got interviews with cast and whatever, and so
the
it's
people
framed
who
as,
are in it.
yeah, the people who are in it. So it sort of has this framing of a documentary or a behind the scenes thing in between, like actual showing episodes of the show. And it's set in like a hospital, and just weird supernatural things happen. And one of the doctors is telekinetic. She has some weird powers going on to her, and but it's just hilarious. It's so absurd and it's so silly. See, Zach said too, he was like, it's one of my biggest inspirations for his comedy. So I watch it, I'm like, I can see where Auntie Donna gets some of their kind of approach from this, because it's just so weird and just funny. Oh my god, I was cacking myself. It was so funny. So yeah, and to see it on the big screen, packed cinema full of other people, and half the room had seen it, half the room hadn't, so it was kind of nice. So yeah, finally watched it. Finally happened. And then Lee played for me the extended version of the Sanchez Sings final episode. Featuring Richard AOI. That was something. Yeah. So yeah. Good stuff. I'm probably gonna watch it again because it was just
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Dark Place. I'm Garth Marenghi, MD. I love his voice. He's just so so funny. And I think one of my favorite episodes was one where he's lamenting the loss of his son and while trying to protect this eyeballed demon child. It's just, I'm not making that up for you. That is legit what the episode's about. Anyway, it was a good time. So it's been a good weekly watchings for me. There's been tears, there's been laughter, there's been humorous deaths and blood. All right, so that's it from me. Let's now get back to our regularly scheduled programming with the nerdy news.
This is the news, the nerdy news. The nerds that talk about the nerdy news. That is us who talk about the news that is nerdy. And now the queen of nerdydom, the hostess with mostest, Kendall Richardson. Take it away, Kendall.
Hello. It's news time. We don't have a lot to discuss. Couple of cool things just to touch on. Starting with some Marvel news. I'm kind of actually okay with this. When they announced this, a little disappointed, but mostly okay. So they've delayed Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars by 6 months each. So they were both supposed to come out in May of their respective years. So May 1st, 2026 was Doomsday, and Secret Wars was May 7th, 2027. And now they are moving to December 18, 2026, 17, 2027. The reasons for this are kind of unclear. I mean, there was sort of a statement that just kind of talked about giving them as much time as possible to, tackle these gargantuan, that's the word they use, gargantuan stories. And then there was a comment made about how Spider-Man No Way Home coming out in December did well for Marvel, so they're trying that again. I mean, I would argue the opposite. May is definitely a better slot for Avengers movies to come out, but hey, it's fine. Star Wars have done it. Who cares? It'll be interesting to see an Avengers movie for Christmas. Nice Christmas present next Christmas. Yeah, I'm glad with this for two reasons. One, yes, it gives a piece of time to actually get this right, considering how much is clearly riding on the success of these films and the big stories that they're setting up and trying to tell, considering they've had to pivot away from what they originally wanted to do. And then also helps post-production have a lot of time with the visual effects, because there's obviously going to be a lot of VFX going on, and there has been criticism thrown at Marvel Studios over a couple of films that people didn't really like the effects on. I was whatever about that criticism. It is what it is. But historically Marvel movies do look good, I think, when they come out. They're not nearly every Marvel movie, but there's been, consistently when you have a Marvel movie come out, you just have them getting a visual effects Oscar nominations. That's not nothing. The other reason I'm really happy that these have been delayed and act like okay with these being delayed is the fact that Spider-Man Brand New Day will now come out before Avengers Doomsday. So because that's being released by Sony, that is unaffected by this change. They're not moving around. So that's still coming out on July 31st, 2026. So I think that makes so much sense. I mean, I think that's filming at the moment as well. Or it's about to start filming, but yeah, that way we don't have to worry about addressing whatever the going on with Doom and how it's affecting Spider-Man or whatever. And because a lot of people have that criticism of Marvel. It's like, well, how can you not point this out when this is happening over here? And why don't you call the Avengers when this is going? Well, that kind of caveat to the interconnectedness. But yeah, I think this is a positive thing. So I'm taking it as such. I think it'll be worth the wait. Fulya, what do you think about these delays?
Honestly, look, I think it's good that they're taking their time to make sure it all sort of works out the way they want it to. And I'm not surprised that they've decided to delay it because of that. So I'm okay with it as long as it's beneficial to them to get it all done so that it's all polished and you don't have to worry about any kind of things that don't look right, especially with the visual effects. In case they need to re-film some stuff, gives them a little extra time. So, and yes, these are going to be huge stories that's going to be tying a lot of other smaller stories up. So they obviously want to get it right. They want to do it justice and just make sure that, nobody goes home disappointed after watching it. So I'm okay with it as long as it's done right, and I'll be happy.
Nice. Excellent. Mike, what do you make of this announcement?
Probably the same. I'm happy that they want to do this right. So, and also it could mean that people who were unavailable, they can probably fit them in, like Spider-Man, maybe, because it'll probably be a bit weird if maybe there's a Spider-Man in Doomsday and we get to see Spider-Man later, before that, a prequel. It's this is confusing for the average person that goes to watch Marvel movies that don't understand or anything like that. Once I get dragged there by their partners, it's like, what is this shit? Why do you always drag me into a Marvel thing? It's not that good. Yeah. So, yeah, just to rejigger things and give them plenty of time to actually finish the effects, which I don't mind. It's just, yeah, I'm not chomping at the bit. There's like, no, I need it now. It's like, no, take your time. Take your time. There's other stuff that we can have fun with, and that's what do we got left? It's a Fantastic Four, and that's it. I think also some television shows as well that are coming out as well before everything. Got Wonder Man, we got Vision Quest. Oh yeah, and Ironheart. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got plenty of Marvel to look forward to between now and the end of next year, so yeah, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. Just watch some Garth Marenghi.
Yeah.
My favorite quote. I know writers use subtext and they're all cowards.
Nice. So good. Cool. Our second and final piece of news this week is really cool as well, I think, because it was confirmed this week that the video game Elden Ring is going to be adapted into a feature film. Now this game won Game of the Year, didn't it, Fulya, when it came out? Yeah. So, and it was very successful. It got a lot of great reviews across the board. Sold very well at our work. Yeah, so it kind of feels like a no-brainer for an adaptation, considering the trend of gaming adaptations and the uptick at the moment. The thing that has me most excited is actually who's making this. We have the combination of the awesome studio that is A24 and the incredible talent that is Alex Garland, who is going to be writing and directing the movie. If you don't know Alex Garland, he is the screenwriter of 28 Days Later and the upcoming 28 Years Later. He wrote and directed an incredible film called Ex Machina as well. He's a very cool writer and a kind of visionary director, I think. So he did Civil War last year, and I think the movie Warfare that just came out, I think he had a hand in that as well. I'm pretty sure he directed that too. So yeah, so he's great. I'm really happy that he's involved here. Because I don't know anything about Elden Ring. I don't, if you listen to the pod, I don't play games very often at all. Despite many people in my life trying to change that. I don't. But no, I've heard nothing but good things. So this will be something, because I think it's fantasy based, I think. So that's kind of up my alley as well. So that'll get me interested. So yeah, it's coming out, I think, next year. I think the year after. Can't remember if they actually said a release date. Let me just quickly see. No release date. Okay. And apparently George R.R. Martin, creation of the game, and he's going to be a producer on the film. That I didn't know either. So that's also interesting. Yeah, cool. Fulya, I'm going to throw to you for your gaming expertise on this. Have you played Elden Ring, and are you excited for this movie at all?
Technically, I have, but not much of it. And it's not my type of game. Right. So Elden Ring is technically known as a Soulsborne game. So it's an RPG essentially, but there's a lot of elements of like repetition and trying, failing, big boss battles.
Right.
That sort of thing. You're picking your character, you're customizing your character, whether they're being like a warrior or a mage, if you want to go for the close combat, if you want to do the distance game. So Elden Ring is one of those types of games, if you're into that sort of thing, then, and it's a big open world game as well. The other thing I will also mention that Elden Ring is also very heavy on the fantasy. But there's no instructions. You have no guidance in this game at all. So you just go with you kind of go with your gut, and where you sort of try to kind of figure it out as you go, kind of a situation. Um, this is probably the big reason why I don't like Elden Ring, just purely because of the whole, there's no guidance of any kind. You have to sort of feel it out for yourself, learn as you go, and upgrade your character. The more you explore, essentially. As a film, I feel like this probably could go down really well. Um, it's almost kind of like a Lord of the Rings situation. Like if you like in terms of how much fantasy there is to this, but it's more about the exploration and the journey, and the creatures you come across, the monsters essentially that you come across in the world. So it has some potential for it to work as a film, but yeah, like I said, very kind of Lord of the Rings ish. I'm not quite sure how much of a story there is, though, to be fair. But in saying that, I haven't done a full playthrough of this game. I've only dabbled in it for like maybe an hour. And even then it was for an event when I was in America, and I played co-op with a friend, and we played co-op on one character. So 2 controllers, 1 character. You can only imagine the chaos that ensued with that. So, yeah, it's an interesting game, and especially considering that they've decided to make it into a film. A24 sounds like it's going to work well for them. I feel like this could definitely work as an A24 film, just because of how artistic they usually are, and the way that most of their films kind of go, and especially in the way that they look and how they tell their stories. So they might actually do the Elden Ring film justice in a way. It might intrigue me to watch it, because I know that I'm not going to play it because it's not my genre of game, to be honest. But yeah, I guess we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know, because from what I know, the Elden Ring doesn't really have much of a story. But maybe they'll build one into it for the film, so we'll see.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
really cool to know. Thank you for all that context.
Yeah, of course.
Really awesome. I'm curious now. Oh,
You should probably look up like gameplay footage on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
There'll be plenty of that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
You get an idea of what the game's about.
Yeah. Thank you. Mike, what do you make of this news? Are you intrigued by this film adaptation at all?
I might have a look at it. I haven't really played anything like Elden Ring, and I was trying to think, is this which game is this? Because it looks familiar, and then I was having a look. It's like, oh, this looks like the Dark Souls and Bloodborne and all that, and it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, very akin to those. Yeah, because they're also in the same genre.
And it was created by the same guy who's
Exactly.
co-directed the game with who co-written as well the game
essentially
with J.R. Martin. Will he get a credit? It's like, and people are going, finish the book, finish that goddamn book.
Now he's doing an Elden Ring movie.
Now he's doing an Elden Ring movie. It's like, God damn it!
He's never gonna finish.
He's procrastinating.
So I was having a look. It's like, this looks like a Dark Souls. It was like, oh yeah, from the same guy. So that makes sense. I'm guessing because all the other ones are very Japan sort of created, so they can't really do that. So we'll get the American one. We'll make a movie out of the American one. So that makes sense. That's how you can get the rights for that if it's an American invention as well. So Can't remake a Dark Souls movie. Not Justice though. Yeah, so it looks interesting. I've never played any of the games, but I know of them because I've seen people like constantly die from it because it's extremely hard. And yeah.
Challenging as you want it to be.
Yeah. Will that be an element in the movie as well? It'll be like Until Dawn sort of thing. If you die, you have to go back and constantly.
Yeah, because Until Dawn's a very choices matter kind of a game. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I have played.
There you go. Yeah, so that will be an interesting dilemma to write into the film, because if you do that, then death has no meaning, and so what's the point of watching it? There's no stakes. So maybe it's a constantly new character, like every time you have to go through all the character choices, but not really. So that will be an interesting take into the movie. So yeah, I'm intrigued, but I'm not jumping at the bit.
Okay, cool. I guess when we get a trailer at some point the next year or two, that might change. Who knows? All right, that's the nerdy news, which means time now to the trailer.
Yes.
Rolling up to the trailer park where we all park all the trailers.
Yes, trailer park. And today we're going to be talking about a few interesting ones. First trailer, of course, being the second trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth. This trailer's got me more interested in this movie now, because like the first trailer was very much kind of your like trying to lure you into the realm of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, I suppose, reestablishing the status quo. Here we're kind of getting a bit more of what the story might be. They're after something. They're after some DNA that's going to save lives, apparently. Makes sense for why they would risk their own lives to go in and get that. The other interesting thing about this trailer I liked, well, I know I'm on the fence with it, but it's interesting at the very least, because like there's so many of these movies. How do we make Rebirth count? How do we make it different, right? And our dinosaurs this time around are the worst of the worst. They're experimented creatures that were, they got fucked over royally by InGen, I'm guessing, if they're keeping it in continuity. But yeah, there's some weird ass looking dinosaurs here. But I kind of like it, just because it's definitely amping up the terror. But then at the same time, it's also kind of undercutting it, because like part of the thing that made these movies, like some of these movies, so good, not all of them are obviously good, but the really good ones, is like just putting you in the world of dinosaurs, right? They lived so many years before we did. Like that's the understatement of the century. We seeing us humans in the same space as dinosaurs and seeing what that would be like, and exploring that and having it go tits up in the best of ways, thanks Spielberg, is just it's just cool and exciting, and it's fun. And I feel like part of me is going, but making them into more monsters kind of takes away a bit of that wonder, I guess. Not that they were trying to go for wonder at this point in the franchise. I guess they're trying to do something different, which I appreciate, but at the same time I'm like, no, that's just a monster movie. It's not a Jurassic movie. I don't know. I'm hoping I will be convinced to think otherwise. But I will. The other thing I will say though, this trailer maybe showed too much, I think. Which so many trailers are just doing lately, or they've been doing for a while, I guess. But showing that family on that boat getting attacked by that T-Rex who can swim, which was kind of terrifying in and of itself. and then showing them later having survived that, I guess, because clearly, in the way I read it, was like this is happening earlier in the film, and later in the film they've met up with Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey and Mahershala, and they're having to protect them, which is kind of bringing back that element from the third film where we had civilians on the island, and and Alan Grant gets dragged in. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna watch it. I just hope it's better than the last couple, because I really didn't like the last two Jurassic World movies. The first one was good. I enjoyed the first one. It was a good Hollywood blockbuster, sort of a romp. Leave your brain at the door. Oh my god, dinosaurs. Let's see what the park is like actually up and running. That was cool. But everything they did after that was dog shit. So I hope this is good. And I hope they don't waste Mahershala Ali, because my guy needs some love after the Blade fiasco. Anyway. That's my thoughts. Fulia, what did you think? I don't. Judging by what you said to me before the pod, I'm not sure if this is going to be on your list of things to watch this year. Are you a fan of the Jurassic movies, or have you kind of stayed away from them because dinosaurs are terrifying?
Yeah. Look, I've not really liked Jurassic Park, or like I never really dabbled in that sort of stuff. Growing up, that first Jurassic Park movie just traumatized me as a kid, so I just decided, nope, not gonna watch those dinosaur movies ever again. Not that I don't like dinosaurs. I like dinosaurs. They're cool. But I'm not a fan of the films. That's just me. So watching this trailer really did nothing, to be honest. And I'm like, cool, this is a movie that I won't be watching. But yeah, it looks interesting at least. But from what I've been hearing, a lot of people are, especially from the fans of the Jurassic movies, things have been up and down. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for this series, for this franchise.
Oh yes, the highs are high and the lows are fucking low.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair
All right.
enough.
Yeah. Thank you, Fulya.
Of course.
Mike, what did this trailer do for you? Are you interested at all in checking this out?
Yes. Surprisingly. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. They sort of ended on a wet fart and couldn't even save it for having the originals come back. It's like, you could have put that in the front, when it was like exciting to see something new, I guess, but it was treading water. And yeah, I like it. I like the trailer. I like what they're doing. They're sort of harking back to sort of Lost World, really, but it's more to do with the human endeavor and trying to bring back this, like, surely this would come up to be like to save humanity somehow. And yeah, Jurassic Park was a creature feature, but as well as yeah, with the whimsical and stuff, and that's what you sort of had with Spielberg at the helm as well, because he could sort of dabble in both, like, scary but wonderful at the same time. And where this one is more to do with science experiments gone wrong, and I'm intrigued at that. And then they can sort of get away with saying, oh, this is not really a dinosaur that we know. It's sort of because the whole discourse of, well, velociraptors, they're not that big. They're sort of this size. They're not the right size, and they've got feathers, so they try to implement feathers as, like, well, when you're cloning something, they don't really form feathers, so it's sort of more, you don't have to explain. It's just say, well, these are just cloning experiments gone wrong, and the big bad is just an abomination. And it's like, cool, let's do that, and just let's get scared together. And my theory, hopefully, because they've been sort of teasing this ever since, like, from the 90s, of having dinosaur cross with human DNA, and then you can sort of have a dinosaur-human hybrid. They've been very teasingly doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. But I think they sort of gone off that because of one of the Alien movies did that with the human alien hybrid.
Yes, twice.
Yeah, twice. And so they probably, but that's been a couple of years. Why don't we do it now? So I can't wait for this. Really, this is a very intriguing movie that I want to see, and yeah, it's got cool people in it. The turnover of trying to get this film made was kind of ridiculous. They set the date, and it's like, okay, director Garth Edwards, and the original screenwriter. There we go, and just do it, and just block, block, block. What can we do? Okay, this. So, I'm not expecting much, but I'm expecting to just have a good time, and just be weirded out and scared. And if this is a slow, painful death to the franchise, okay, at least we ended it with a bit of a crazy chapter when it comes to the franchise. I'll just leave it at that. I like it.
Yeah.
So
Fair.
when's this
Okay.
coming out, Kendall?
Yes, well, Jurassic World Rebirth will be hitting our screens on the 3rd of July. Not too far away.
Very too far.
All right, our second trailer is one that I'm probably the most interested in watching out of 3 that we're going to discuss today, and that is, of course, our teaser trailer for the upcoming It Welcome Derry series. I'm so happy to kind of be back in this world. I really liked the 2 movies they did, especially the first one. The second one was fine. Like, it's a hard task clearly to adapt it. But the first half was incredible. So it seems like they're probably leaning into more of that vibe by having, a group of kids being our main characters, as they're being stalked by Pennywise. Yeah, and and I did the math, and it's 1962, 27 years, 1989, and which is 27 years before 2016, and all the math checks out. And yeah, it just looks cool. Like I'm excited to see how they adapt it into a series. I mean, it's not being adapted. Sorry, it's not based on anything that Stephen King wrote. I don't think. I think they've just decided to go deeper into the world of it and make a prequel. But yeah. I'm excited to see how they flesh that out. How they take this, what happened before the events of the book It and the movies and the original miniseries adaptation, like how that is going to go. But yeah, and they've got Bill Skarsgård back as Pennywise, so I'm very happy about that. I'm so glad they were able to get him on board, because it would not have been the same. And it's cool that that being said, they're connecting it to the film continuity. Andy Muschietti, who directed those 2, is going to be involved in this show as well. So that's good. That visual continuity will also be there, as you can see in this trailer. So yeah, it's a nice little tease for horror, because it doesn't really show you too much but it just shows you enough, I think, to draw you in and have you a bit at unease for all the off-putting, smiling people staring into the distance. I love it. It's great. So yeah, I'm so here for this. I can't wait to watch it. Mike, I guess I'm gonna throw to you. And
right.
maybe we'll circle back. What did you think of this trailer? Because I know you're obviously a big Stephen King fan. How did this teaser go for you?
Very intrigued. When this came out, it's like it's going to be a prequel because you can't really go. You either have the choice of going beyond the book, like after the kids grow up, after 27 years, or you go backwards. And it looks like they're going backwards, which I don't mind because it'll be interesting doing like a period piece as well as having elements that are in the book as well, because they do touch on previous stuff with it being back in the day, because essentially the creature it has been around since dinosaurs. So what would happen every 27 years, and you can sort of go on there, and I still don't know if they're going to go further back as well, because there are things in the book that they sort of touch on in the movie, but they don't really dwell too much on it. I mean, it would be interesting if throughout the TV show they sort of do reference in the movie and sort of cross the streams, as it were. And who knows? It's very interesting how they're going to do this, but it looks like it's going to be set back during the 70s. And where these sort of new characters have been introduced as well. So, mind you, if these characters are sort of touched on in the movie as well, maybe they don't survive. So, everyone's fair game. Bill Skarsgård reprising his role. That's cool. Maybe not necessarily all the time as Pennywise, the dancing clown, because in the book, the creature can turn into anything. In the book, when it was set in the 50s for the kids, there was a lot of universal creatures that they turn into, because it's more or less what scares you. And for a 1950s kids is the it's the creature from the Black Lagoon and the Wolfman and and Dracula and all that. And hopefully they'll do a scene that actually freaked me out when I read it. Is like this the creature from the Black Lagoon sort of gets a kid and pulls into the lake and then rips its head off. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm hoping they're going to do that instead of the other controversial stuff that's also in that book.
Yeah.
And I just leave it at that.
Yeah,
But
we don't need to talk about that.
No. I mean,
It's too much cocaine, Stephen. Too much cocaine.
too much cocaine. It's like, well, don't you get it? They need to, for kids to, in order to get out of the sewer, they need to grow up. They need to be adult. And what's more adult than doing what they did in the sewer? Anyway.
It can be a metaphor, Stephen. It doesn't have to be.
No, don't you get it? Don't you? Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Great.
He does not remember riding Cujo.
No, I know. It's so good.
My word.
We love Stephen King. We love him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Life of Chuck comes out this year. Anyway,
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Don't stop me.
And The Long Walk as well. Have you seen that? That
No,
trailer?
no.
That's a Stephen King.
Okay, I'll
yeah,
check it
watch
out.
the trailer when we're finished here. So anyway,
Okay.
this trailer. When is this coming out, Kendall?
Gods at Max, soon to be HBO Max, as every single bit of marketing is now reminding us, have not deemed it necessary to tell us when it's coming out. All we know is that Welcome to Derry will be streaming in the latter half of 2025. So probably September, October, maybe right in the sweet spot for Halloween. I feel like it is a clever decision.
Yes.
So, yes. Okay, our last trailer for this week. Switching gears completely. This is the upcoming Darren Aronofsky film, Caught Stealing. Yeah, I'm intrigued by this a little bit, only because I'm a fan of work. Like Black Swan is one of my favorite movies, probably in my top 10 or top 5. He's a very interesting filmmaker. Stories he chooses to tell and the way he tells them. So I'm kind of curious to see what he does with this, because it doesn't really seem entirely like a he would make. It feels very grounded in reality, as crazy it is for two men to be caught in all these different gangs. But still, I'm hoping there's a bit more surrealism, maybe somewhere in there. I don't know. But regardless, I mean, the cast is good. Austin Butler is great. And he, looking pretty good here in this. And Matt Smith is just the greatest. Kudos to him for fucking going full Cockney punk and rocking a mohawk for this film. I remember seeing the photos when they were filming this last year, and they a lot of the movie news websites were talking about it, and I just seeing the two of them next to each other and going, what the hell? This is still my current Doctor, technically, that I'm watching, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm here for that. I feel like watching this movie for Matt Smith's performance alone is going to be worth the price of admission. Because it looks like he's having the time of his life, as per usual, with a lot of his performances. But yeah, other than that, it does just seem a very run-of-the-mill crime drama thriller comedy situation. The tone was interesting to it, but yeah, I don't know, I'm curious about this one, and I like Austin Butler as well, and I don't think I've watched anything with him in it. I probably have, and I'm just blanking completely. He did that Masters of the Air TV show on Apple last year that was supposed to be pretty good. But yeah, but he doesn't have an Elvis accent anymore. That's yeah. I don't have anything else to add. Fulya, what did you think? Caught Stealing.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure that I'll be going out of my way to watch this, just because of how much is going on in terms of how much violence we're seeing, and it's all about these this underbelly of gangsters in New York City, and I'm just like, and they all come from different sort of areas, like in backgrounds and religions, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on in here? The moment I saw Matt Smith, though, I cracked it. I was like, no way he's in this with a mohawk going full punk. And that made me laugh. That, honestly, just seeing Matt Smith and still, like, I don't know, it's almost like he became a skinhead or something.
Oh, no, punk.
Maybe.
Punk. Okay, sorry, punk.
There is a big difference between punk and skinheads.
True. Very, very true.
Is there like a moment in the trailer that we see him bald, though? I feel like there was... maybe it was someone else.
Yeah, there was a bald dude in the trailer, yeah.
For whatever reason, I thought it was Matt Smith, like later down the track of the trailer. But anyway, I mean, I hope it's good. I'm not quite sure it's for me. So yeah. And I'm also
Yeah,
glad
that's
that
fine.
Austin Butler doesn't sound like Elvis anymore. I was actually keeping an ear out for that, to be honest. Like, when I saw that it was Austin Butler, I'm like, okay, I need to hear his accent. It still sounds kind of southern, but I'm assuming that's just because that's him. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Mike, what did you
Yes.
think of this trailer?
I watched this on a YouTube ad, and it's like, oh, what is this? And it looked very interesting. It's like, I know that guy. I know those guy. Oh, I know that guy too. What's going on? What is this? And it looks like fun. Like for me, I don't know. It's sort of in my wheelhouse, and I can't enjoy these sort of films. So I'm sorry, but I'm just a sick puppy. Anyway, apparently it's an adaptation of a book, so having a look at that, of the same name, Charlie Hudson, who coincidentally, Fulya, wrote comics as well, and your fave. He wrote for your fave, Moon Knight.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought, ooh, maybe you would like it if it's from the same pen. Yeah. He also did looking at his bigger his bibliography. He also wrote for X-Force, like Deadpool, so Punisher. You know, all those scary ones. Also did Bullseye as well. What a freak. Anyway. Sick and twisted man. Yeah. I always enjoy Matt Smith doing something other than a Doctor Who persona. I think that's awesome. Same as like David Tennant and all those, because I am a Doctor Who fan, and it's like this is the first time I saw him. So, and just a Cockney punk as well. It's like, yeah, I think he's done his sort of research for that, because you don't really see many punks nowadays, which is a shame, because I think they need to make a comeback, like a big bad way. So hopefully this will get a lot of people like on their side, like punk Spider-Man as well.
Yeah,
that'll be cool. So I don't know. I think I'm a little bit interested. In this movie. So when's this coming out, Fulya?
Me?
Yeah, you know.
It's coming out to cinemas on the 28th of August.
I threw it to you because I knew you were going to watch it, because it's Moon Knight guy.
No, I don't know if I'm still gonna watch it. I don't know if that's like swayed my opinion.
Okay. All right. So when's this coming out, Kendall? Sorry.
It's definitely made me more interested. That he's a comic book writer and he writes for pretty cool. So
yeah, he's a novelist, so he does write like adult books as well, not necessarily
cool.
Kiddie
not just
comics. Comics are for kids.
Apparently. Apparently. All right, that's Trailer Park done.
Yes.
Which means now it's time for a not so quick quickie review.
Quickie review.
That's right.
That's right. Because we're going to now spend the next few minutes discussing this week's episode of The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 6, The Price. Second last episode of the season. I'm so sad and annoyed that there's one episode left already. That came around really quick. But when, we get to watch an episode of television like this, I forgive them. Yeah, I think I was crying the whole time watching this. My partner kept looking at me, just you crying because he's this season has not interested him at all. He every time we go to put on an episode, is she dead yet? Is Ellie dead?
Wow.
Is Ellie dead yet? Yeah, he doesn't like her. He didn't like Joel. Like it's so funny to me.
So I assume he's a Last of Us Part 1 fan rather than Part 2?
Maybe. I don't think he played the games, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, but in terms of the story, I think he's yeah, I think he appreciates it for what it is, but he's not really connected to it.
Yeah.
But enough about my wonderful man. Or about what I think. Yeah, I was crying a lot. It was really, really good episode. Probably my favorite of the season so far. I mean, episode 2 is probably the best episode. Just to add that little differentiating nugget in there for you. But this episode was just, oh man. Yeah, what a way to say goodbye to Joel, you know. And to like we knew we were gonna get flashbacks. But for them to happen this way and to tell us more about him as a character, like seeing that flashback to him and dad having that discussion and, you know, him trying to protect Tommy, like, you know, that never changed right up to the end, really. And you know, and how what his father was like to him makes him not want to be like his father to Ellie. And, you know, and that whole thing. God, I don't want to cry. Yeah, it was just so well done. Like I loved how they kind of showed us the missing years between seasons 1 and 2. You know, with the marking date of, you know, Ellie's birthday every year. You know, showing her growing up, showing them growing apart a little. And yeah, and just I just think those scenes, for me, as someone who loves spaces and can kind of relate to Ellie's wonder and excitement in these scenes, but like the scene at the museum and in the capsule specifically was just so fucking good. I I was like, oh my god, like you are the best. He's not even her real dad. I mean, you know, we could use the Yondu quote and be like, you know, he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy. Situation. But that was so cool. The fact that I hadn't seen, like I've said before, I haven't seen the rest of the game after Joel's death, so I don't really know what's coming. And then just to see this, and then throughout the week watching clips of, you know, what they've taken from the game and how they've adapted it and doing it sort of scene for scene, shot for shot is just, oh my god. Oh, it's just amazing. So that, and then just Joel making the guitar for her and singing that song, that broke me too. Oh man, yeah, it was just emotionally charged, and then just to cap it off, that the final scene, because my understanding, because all I'd really sort of known was that at least a couple of people had mentioned it, that they didn't really patch things up before he died. But then we get this scene, and then I found out today that the scene is actually taken from the end of the game. And they've put it here, obviously to, I guess I think it, narratively for the show, it makes more sense for it to be here than to, you know, appear down the road in 2 years' time when we get the 3rd season. But to watch them have this conversation and for Joel to finally tell her, you know, what happened, what he did and everything. And then I actually just need to detour slightly quickly and talk about the Eugene thing, because that was just that was heartbreaking and devastating and great. And I loved it so much because I pinged it just before Ellie said it. Like, I'm like looking at Joel lying to Gale, and I'm like, he's doing the exact same thing he did to Ellie. And then Ellie uses that to realize that he's lying because she knows he's lying because she was there, right? But still, I was just like, that's clever storytelling. I loved that moment. That was so good. And yeah, and then for it to be then capped off by that final scene on the porch, and then Joel's break. I just give us just give him. Oh, you can't give him an Oscar. Give him just give him the Emmy now. Just be like, here you go. There's no Kieran Culkin this time, so you can just have it. Because when he's like breaking down and saying how much he loves her, that he wouldn't change a thing, and that he hopes that she's a better parent than he ever could have been. Oh,
Which is like a callback to what the dad said to him
exactly.
when he was a kid. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I just fucking incredible television, incredible writing, incredible acting. Like not just Pedro, Bella as well. Like knocked it out of the park. It was so cathartic. It was so good. Like it was worth waiting for, and the payoff with finally finding out what happened to Eugene as well was just great. So yeah, definitely my favorite episode of the season. So that's my review. I fucking loved it, every single second of it. Fulia, how did you go watching this episode? What did you think of it?
Considering this episode was the least violent from the season, so it was actually a really good episode for me.
That's good.
But there was a lot of emotion in this episode. So, yes, it did hit me in the feels a bit. So, I can understand the tears for sure. The fact that we got the first flashback in the cold open being that it was Joel and Tommy when they were kids. And the idea that his dad was only doing what he could and that he was trying to be better than his dad, right? And then he gives him that sort of note that if one day he ends up with kids, that he would also be a little bit better than himself. So that kind of callback, the moment we get with Joel and Ellie, it just that little bit kind of was like a full circle for me, and I was like, oh, okay, here it is. And yeah, this whole episode just very heavy on the feels. I liked how they decided to do, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 years of birthdays for Ellie.
Yeah.
And, you know, it starts off with something small, you know, Ellie. Now we know why Ellie had the burn mark on her arm. She was trying to burn it off, like, so that she just wanted to wear short sleeves again. I totally get it. Like, you don't want to be stuck wearing long sleeves trying to hide a scar that you've been bitten, so that you have to come up with excuses and all that sort of stuff. So that was a little kind of terrifying to me, the fact that she went out of her way to do that to herself, the self-harm of it all. And then the following year, when he ends up taking her to this museum, we first come across the T-Rex. I'm like, so the dinosaurs roam the earth in this place? in this particular world? But it was really cool how it was all kind of the overgrown, like, grass and shrubs and all that, and like plant, like vines that kind of covered the actual dinosaur itself. The excitement in Allie's face and voice when she sees the dinosaur and then ends up climbing it. I don't understand Ellie and her need to climb things, like, to get to the top of these things, like buildings and dinosaurs, and my goodness. She's kind of reminding me of a bit of a monkey, and she just wants to climb all of the things.
It's a kid
but thing. Yeah, I know. But she's a teenager, you know, she's in her late teens now. You'd think they'd probably grow out of it, but no, not really. Yeah, and then, you know, the moment that she discovers that there's a museum ahead, and Joel's like, "Well, if you come down from that fucking T-Rex, I'll take you there." And I love that it was the space. It was a space museum, and they walk in, and there's this giant solar system that where it's interactive, and it still works. And then I think the scene that I really liked the most was when they walked into to see the shuttle, the Apollo 13 shuttle, and the kind of like awe in Ellie's face. She was just so like struck by it. She didn't want to touch it at first, but then it's like Joel's just telling her to, open it up, jump in. Like, but before you do, pick a helmet. Which was so well preserved behind those glass. That particular that uniform will no longer be preserved now. But it was really sweet that Joel gave Ellie that opportunity to just use her imagination, to be a child, and just enjoy the moment. And I absolutely loved the whole, gave her this cassette tape, which is like an original recording of the launch of the Apollo 13, and she's like listening to it in the cockpit of this shuttle, and just having her eyes closed. The way that they did the lighting effects to make it look like she was being launched into space, was very insane. Cool. I love that, and the effect of that lighting was on point, and it made you really believe that she was being launched into space. It looked so cool.
Apparently that was practical.
It was, yeah. So I also did watch the making of after the fact, and the fact that they said that it was on this like rotating sort of a base so that they could do the whole lighting effect for it, which was shot for shot from their game as well.
Yeah.
Is crazy good. And like the talent and the skill from these people that have put this together in that particular scene was just awesome. And the fact even the designers of the set and the props for that particular museum, it blew my mind on how well it looked. And how awesome it looked covered in all of these vines and grass and everything, but like all this moss overgrown on top of it. It's just, that whole scene just blew my mind. I love that so much. And I think that was where I got the most emotional. And then seeing Joel crying of like joy, seeing Ellie being happy, because he liked he liked making Ellie happy, and that was the one thing that he had. And because he loves her, that's why. And it was a really good episode. And once we got to the end scene with the confrontation, essentially, that definitely kind of hit me as well. And he like the fact that Ali's asking the questions and Joel couldn't even say a word, but all he could do was nod or shake his head, and you could just see the tears in his eyes just rolling down his face. The fact that he had no choice, because if he lied again, that was it for them, So this was a great penultimate episode for the season. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. That's all. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, Mike. How are you doing after watching this episode? Given that you are the father of two wonderful kids. How did this go for you?
As it should. Definitely was emotional. I usually watch this during work, so I don't know why. Just to get rid of the sting, basically. If I'm around people, it's like, no, I can't show emotion. No. Yeah, and as I said to you on the chat, I got in 10 minutes. I thought, nope, need to stop now. Because Joel said baby girl, and I thought, yeah, fuck you, need to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the flashback episode. In the game, there's multiple flashbacks, and they all cram them into this episode, which is contextually interesting and also understandable. That it's almost the end of the season, so if they do it now, it's hard to do it later on. The first flashback we've never seen before, with Joel, Tommy, and father, Joel Senior, which is interesting, being a co-op on the beat, and yeah, it's all to do with what the series is about, the constant struggle for violence, and how just repetition, and this is the theme through the entire thing, and this is essentially Joel's sort of coming out party of how his psyche actually works, and just to do better from the last generation, and that's all you can try to achieve. You're not necessarily trying to be like the saint, and yeah, that's my philosophy with parenting as well. You try to be better than your parents, and considering I didn't really grow up with a father, so I'm back to square one, and I'm constantly second guessing myself of how to be a dad and all that. So that's why I had to stop watching as well, because yeah, it was going to be way too emotionally charged for me to actually watch this at work. So I'm glad that I watched it when it was. All the kids went to bed, and I said to my wife, "It's like, hey, I'm going to watch this thing. You don't know the context because you don't watch this show, but I'm probably going to be overly emotional, and just to bear in mind, nothing's wrong. It's just a TV show." So it's that sort of thing. Yeah. I knew I was going to be in for a treat, because in the game, Joel died, and then you play as Ellie, like all throughout Seattle, and you're trying to survive, and you're constantly getting, trying to like find the people from Salt Lake, and you're trying to find Ellie and not Ellie, Amy and her crew,
Abby
and all that. Abby, sorry, Amy, and yeah, and then when you finally find the theater, it's your only time for like relaxing, and then you find out that Dina is pregnant. Very different from what the show did from the game, where it's more to do with, okay, I've got this thing now that I need to protect this person now who's now pregnant, that I find out is pregnant, so I can only go out by myself, which contextually for a TV show is just terrible. You can't really have a character just wandering around like by themselves and not talking to anyone. You can't really do that. So I like the change that they have in the show, where Dana actually decides to come along, and until she gets an arrow in the knee and she can't explore anymore. Insert Skyrim meme here.
Yeah.
And then Tommy shows up, which is great. And yeah, and so and then we end up what was last week of Ellie doing a very violent thing, and one of the precursors of me starting to not like the game because it's forcing me to do something that I don't want to do. And that is a very, very, well, certain things happen and I don't want to do them, but the game is forcing me to do them. So fuck you, game, and fuck you, TV show, for opening that can of worms again. I don't want to do it. Yeah, but with this episode where they put all the flashbacks all together, and it's very well written that it's all to do with Ellie's birthday, and they go up to close to the present day. One thing that it's very close to what the game was, except for Eugene, because in the game you only hear about Eugene. You don't meet him. He's pretty much, he dies of old age. So a lot of the dialogue is, "Oh, I wish we can go out like Eugene, you know, died of old age," which is rare for this post-apocalyptic scenario that we're in. And I do like the change here, because I was wrong. It's got nothing to do with Eugene ratting Joel out to the former Fireflies, or now the Wolves, and it adds on to the relationship with Ellie and Joel. How lies to protect yourself, and can lies be justified? And yeah, and Ellie sort of pieces two and two together as like, oh, if it's so easy for Joel to lie about this, then surely he must be lying of what really happened in the hospital. And I love that fact, because then they sort of get rid of another flashback that they sort of have the same dialogue within the last scene, where I do like that scene, because the one on the porch, because they put it in the right spot within the game, where essentially everything in the game happened, and now you go back to this scene and it puts everything in perspective of why Ellie decides to do what she does to go to Seattle. And I was actually surprised that they didn't put it for where it was. And I was a bit concerned, because they put the dialogue where Ellie actually goes back to the hospital in Salt Lake to find, and she found a tape recorder, and everything just comes out, and Joel is following behind. And it's like, where were you? It's like, tell me the truth. And everything gets laid out, and then a couple of months happen, and then we get the porch scene. Yeah. What they added with Joel's dad, and it was a very good bookend of what Joel does, of, I know I did wrong, but I would do it the same way, which is in the game as well. And I love that scene. You should watch it. It's heartbreaking, because every time Joel says, Dina would be lucky to have you, and that always gets me every time. And they added, I hope one day you will be in the same situation as me, and you do better. And that, I've now come to terms with that, because my initial reaction was, I hate this scene. They've completely butchered the scene, and they've rammed two scenes together, and it's like, I'm thinking it contextually, and then now I had to watch someone actually react to it online, and it's a person, I can't remember name, I'm sorry, I can't hold credit, but they love the series, they know the themes and everything, and they said it's kind of fascinating that they did that. And one it's like what would happen at the end of season 3, which has been greenlit, so we are going to get a scene 3. So it's like, what's going to happen at the end? Surely they need something at the end, so we don't know what's going to happen at the end, which is interesting if they add something new. Joel doesn't say "I love you" to Ellie, which is a very interesting ad, and him just confessing of just shaking of the head and everything is completely different. And yeah, I do get why certain people don't like Joel, because he's in this you can feel sorry for him, but I can also think he is a pretty pathetic character. You did horrible stuff in the name of love, which is absolutely toxic, and that's why the discourse is, are you for or against Joel? And it's like, well, you can sort of have a mixture of both, really. It's people trying to survive in this very harsh world that is now. And I'm not sure if they're going to do... I'm not sure if Joel's going to be in season 3. I don't know how you can put that in. But strange stuff will happen, so who knows? And then the official last shot is Ellie coming back from the wolves after doing what she did and going back to the theater. And I have a sneaky suspicion I know what's going to happen. I know where the cutoff point of the last episode is going to be, and it's going to piss a lot of people off.
Great. Cliffhanger.
And I can't wait.
Nice.
Because something will happen, and it made me stop playing the game for about a week.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm intrigued and excited and terrified at the same time.
I don't recommend this show.
Wow.
It's very triggering. It's very harsh.
Yeah.
But if you do like it, then if you do like these sort of themes, then go at it. But I'm having a weird time. I'm having a weird time with this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so anyway, when is
fair
the next episode coming out?
Yes, well,
Tomorrow.
Airing tomorrow, and
Yay.
I'm watching it on Tuesday, so hopefully I can avoid spoilers till then. Otherwise, yeah, we're going to be talking about it next week, I'm sure. 2 finale chats in one episode, because now time to talk about another penultimate episode.
Ooh.
Wibbly wobbly timey why it's time for
Battery's dying.
Popcorn culture.
Yeah.
Talking
Talking who? Okay. We are bringing it home with our discussion of the latest episode of Doctor Who, the penultimate episode of this season, episode 7, Wish World. Things are coming together plot-wise, and my initial overall thoughts. I wanted to like this more than I did. I did not enjoy it, but there was just, for me, it felt like there was a lot going on, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts, Fulya, because I just feel like they threw a lot of information at us, and it didn't land completely for me. And I also am excited to hear what Mike thinks, because there's also some more classic Who stuff discussed here. But yes, yeah. So interesting episode. Like, it's cool to find out what the Rani is trying to do. And I'm learning more and more about how the Doctor is not the last Time Lord. Still, more and more. There's just so many of them still out there. And I've never heard of Omega, so I'm hoping there's some payoff next week.
Omega.
Omega. Oh, sorry. So they are pronouncing it wrong. Okay, right.
No, they're not. We've been through this with
not.
Bad Batch.
Omega. Yes. Omega. Okay, Omega.
Think, oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm going to have to just think of that every time. Just say, oh my god. Yes. Yeah. So, I can't really say too much without starting to dive into some of the plots. So I'll just throw to Fulya and see what she thinks of this episode overall. How did it work for you?
Yeah, there was a lot going on. I was kind of confused when we all of a sudden had this world where the Doctor and Belinda were married with a kid, and I'm like, huh? Why did this happen? Why is this happening? It threw me off so bad. And then it was just, there was like a lot of information, a lot of detail being thrown at us as the viewer, and I was trying to keep up with it. We had Ruby in there as well, and she's also trying to figure things out. There's, this phenomenon called the slip happening, where porcelain cups and mugs are just smashing the moment someone doubts something. And yeah, it was just like, it was a really weird episode, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. It was cool that they did, callbacks to old school Who, and the momentary sort of flashbacks that we get of footage from the classic Who. But as someone who is, like Kendall, new to the Who universe, never watched classic Who, seeing those images pop up, I knew it meant that these are references that they're calling back to, but I just didn't know what it was really in context, just because I've never seen those episodes before. So as someone who's new to it all, I feel like it could have been explained a little better, maybe not so convoluted either. Because yeah, just my brain was trying to keep up with it all, and by the time we got to the end of it, I was just like, huh? Just so confused.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to think. And then it just ends in a cliffhanger, and you're like, don't leave it like that. Why?
It's a two-parter.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, like, I liked it, but I also was confused. So, yeah. I think Michael will have more details to share, because he'll know what's going on better than what you and I are.
Yes, I think so.
Nah, not saying.
But it's your turn to talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, unpack this for us, Mike. What just your overall thoughts first?
My overall, yeah, cool. My overall thoughts is this episode doesn't work. Like, being a standalone to get you intrigued for the next bit. I felt that it was just treading water into the big reveal at the end, and even that was sort of bit of a flub. It's like, ooh, What's down there? This guy that no one has ever heard of since since the 70s, well, 80s. Yeah, it's a really weird episode, and it's meant to be a weird episode, like Stepford Wives, sort of like a weird wish world, which coincidentally is the name. Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one to pinpoint if I liked it or not, but I'm more leaning towards it's a bad episode, which is not good for a penultimate episode and a part 2 and a part 1 and a part 2. And just the reveal, it does. Here's the thing. It's the weird sort of theory is that the first season of Disney Who and the second are sort of doing the same sort of bits. Like, this is definitely a reveal of Sutek at the end. It's like, oh, this person that we that we only know now. There's no real build up. It's like, this is classic. This is the classic Who sort of person. It's like, but for modern now people watching this, it's like, who? What's this? It's too weird. I don't know. It would be a bit of a turn off, but like, I was having to think. It's like, well, previous seasons, like first New Who, they do set up like the Dalek to be at the end, and then all throughout there's a bit of the bad wolf sort of thing, and then it's good payoff at the end. And the second one and second season is Cybermen and cross-dimensional, and then they set up throughout the entire season to this point. This one, it's a bit weird because it just feels like it's treading water, and it's going to be the big reveal at the end, which it's going to be a 60-minute episode, so it's a feature-length episode, which good, because there are a lot of stokes in the fire that you need to explain, because having just watched this episode, like I watched it again, it's like it doesn't get me hyped. I mean, I should be more hyped than I should be, because Omega is like a big bad that we haven't seen in a while, and he's like huge in the Gallifreyan lore of Gallifrey. So are they going to they're going to touch on that in the next episode? I hope so. But I'm just afraid that Russell T is going to fumble and die, but his track record sort of goes against himself. So I'm a bit still concerned with it, and it's kind of strange that these new episodes of Doctor Who, especially at the end, is like there's a lot of homework to do, which is new for Doctor Who, and it sort of harkens to what Russell said, that Doctor Who needs to be a bit more like Marvel, which I sort of balk at that. It's like, well, yeah, it's sort of introducing characters that we haven't seen before, but people who are me know who these people are, but I want it to be more easier to digest than most things, instead of just, there you go, there's Arani, what do you reckon? I've never, who is she? Why can she generate? This is too weird for weird sake, and I love Doctor Who doing weird stuff. I mean, I just watched Space Babies again, and it's like, yeah, it's a really weird episode, but it's a singular episode, and then you can watch something else. But with this, it's just getting more and more strange, and I'm hoping the payoff is interesting. I mean, I do have my theories, and I'll leave that till later. I do have my theories, but will it will it be good? I don't know. I'm hoping so, but jeez, you're not giving me much confidence. But if you like it, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the visuals on it are really great. I've never seen like London fall into a pit of hell.
Yeah.
London got the slip.
London got the slip. Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, let's dive into things a bit closer. The Wish world in question. I like these. I mean, I've always said I like Elseworld episodes where you see our characters and they're in a completely different reality or context, or they just something fucking weird's going on, as it is here. In terms of that kind of setup, I feel like they could have maybe done it a lot better. I'm not sure how, but it was just, I don't know, it was weird. It was like they explained certain things, but then they didn't explain others. I kind of wish we'd had more time with the Doctor and Belinda stuck in this Wish world, and that they didn't have to have that be, I guess half the episode or 2/3 of the episode to get to what the Rani's doing, and having them taken up onto the giant skeleton ship thing. But yeah, I did like that it had us scratching our heads at the beginning, because I mean Doctor Who does mysteries pretty well, I think, because a lot of the time I have no idea, like watching all the the old New Who and just kind of not being able to figure out a lot of where it's going, whereas with some of the newer stuff I think it's easier to kind of pick where things are going, which is interesting. So I feel like they could have done it better. But I liked the sort of like a WandaVision vibe almost, of this sort of like happy family living in this, happy world and everything's fine and stuff. And it reminded me of no, I can't remember if there was like an episode of Black Mirror like this, or there's an episode of something else. But the one that I remember specifically comes to mind. There's an episode of Charmed where there's the normal world, and then there's a bad world where there's a bad version of all our characters, all our heroes, and they end up fucking up something with that, and then we come back to the real world, and then it becomes this over exaggerated utopia where everything has to be hunky-dory all the time, and if you mess up one little tiny thing, you'll be murdered for it. Like, it kind of gave me that sort of vibe with, like, oh, he's doubting, I have to report him situation. That was kind of interesting. And then just
Thought crime.
to have... Huh?
Thought crime. 1984.
Thought crime. Yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. And then, having the Doctor and Belinda as this fake married couple, and Captain Poppy's their daughter, and how they both fully believe the lies they're being fed by the Wish world, I guess, for a hot minute. I kind of, I don't know. And then what, Mel was there as well. She's like a neighbor or whatever, living on the same street, and I liked seeing Unit in this context, and and how we got Colonel Ibrahim and Kate Stewart interacting, being all cute, even in an alternate reality sort of situation, which was fun. But it was also kind of fun to see Kate in this interesting, strict kind of like persona, I suppose. Like, but and then the moments of the Doctor slipping in and out, that was interesting. I'm surprised. I will just, not to skip ahead, but I was surprised it took the Doctor that long for him to actually come back to himself. I thought they would have done it earlier, but that's fine. The way they handled Belinda in this episode was weird. Because she knew something was up, but she also didn't know, and there was never a kind of a scene of her going, "I don't want to believe this, but it's true, and I'm just gonna keep trying to." I don't know. I thought that was, but yeah, I kind of would have liked it more if they'd given us more time in the Wish world instead of having so much exposition and the Omega reveal at the end stuff. Like maybe if they'd like had the Wish world be this episode, and then next week is when we learn about what the Rani's doing, what Conrad's doing, bastard, and everything else. Like I don't know. I feel like they could have balanced the story out in a more palatable way. To, as you've said, Fulya, not make it so convoluted. I think in its execution. But anyway, speaking of you, Fulya, what did you think of Wish World seeing this kind of weird alternate happy weird London with the Doctor and Belinda?
Let's just say I didn't like it. It threw me off, and I kind of hated seeing them in that kind of context, because it was like you knew something was up, and so you had this really weird sort of gut feeling of something's wrong. Why are they doing this? Why are they pretending like they're married and all that sort of thing? So that threw me off quite a bit. And so this Wish world was, just so weird watching it all kind of play out. And then the moment we see Conrad, I'm just like, what the heck is he doing here? And then until we got the flashbacks and stuff, and then I was reminded of, oh right. I was also a little bit confused about when the Rani ended up traveling back in time to get the seventh son of the seventh son, the baby. That was a bit weird too, and I'm like, why are we picking up this baby who is the seventh child that was born in this particular family? Like, what is this? Does this baby have like apparently this baby has some form of power?
It's a god.
Yeah, I'm just so confused. But like not a lot was explained until we got this giant chunk at the end of the Rani trying to explain everything to the Doctor to make the Doctor remember everything, right? So this Wish world was just not what I wished for.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
My poor brain was so confused this whole episode. And then overwhelmed.
Yeah. It was a weird method of storytelling. That's for sure.
Yes.
Mike, how did you go with the Wish world concept and the way it was executed?
I thought it was quite interesting, where everything that is wished upon with this baby, this new wish god, because of, I don't know, folklore. I've never heard of the folklore of the seventh son of the seventh son of the seventh son. But apparently it's working now. So in this weird universe that's now, ever since Blue Yonder, that reality is sort of slipping, and it's sort of cracking up. And this wish world being the ideal, like, utopia of one guy, Conrad, who is basically a right-wing, like, nut job. It says, okay, what do we need? Okay, women have this certain role and they need to stick to it. And the men need to go and work for the living, and then all of a sudden this little microaggression of of the Doctor actually finding another man attractive. No, not allowed. So I can sort of I sort of like the sort of this is the ideal world for Conrad, and how anything outside needs to be punished, and if there's doubt, break. It's like certain order, and then as I do like that, but as you said, Kendall, it needs to be more fleshed out. It could have been happening like throughout an entire episode, and then we can sort of see the slipping, and then we don't have to have this sort of narrative dump by Irani, which is annoying and cool. They they voiced the same concern. It's like, well, it's not a get out of jail free card if you do mention that you're doing a faux pas. I mean, that's annoying. But yeah, I do like the fact it's sort of weird and off kilter. Doctor Who has done this before. I mean, thinking quite recently what we've seen, Amy's Choice, when they're doing when they had the Dream Lord, and which is real. Are they in the TARDIS, or are they in the future where Amy is pregnant and Rory has a ponytail, which is real? Don't know, but so it has been done before and done easily digestible than this one, which is just off kilter, and one of their main one of their main ideals was WandaVision, and how that sort of was an interesting world that's been created by one person, but we don't know who that is by the end, or even if it is someone or just an anomaly. Don't know. I do. It is interesting that Irani is doing this, because it definitely feels like a sort of a master sort of ideal of trying to destroy the world for one particular goal. But we'll probably talk about this later. But it's just, with me and my prior knowledge, it's just things didn't really fit well, because the Irani is a scientist, and the main thing is get away from ethics. Need to get away from me. It's like the experiment is the thing. Like in the first like outing that we see of Irani is that she's getting a chemical from humans that would help like Time Lords, but the unfortunate thing, if you take this chemical out of the brain, that humans can't rest, so therefore they become more aggressive and volatile, and then she turns people into trees. So yeah, it's a weird thing, but the main goal is it's analytical. It's more scientific, which is kind of weird, because they're dealing with something that's a bit more magic and wishes and gods, spiritual, but it's Irani, so it's kind of weird. So they need to explain that, please, in the last episode. Doesn't make sense to me as someone who knows Irani, and this is what she does. Yeah, so overall, the wishing world is weird, and it should be.
Yes. Well, one thing about the Wish World I liked, I'm curious to hear you guys, is the addition of Ruby Sunday, and her teaming up with Shirley, and the knowledge that Conrad's arrogance is going to help lead to the downfall of him, because of in his perfect world he doesn't even consider someone that's disabled has a mental disorder. anything like that. He doesn't consider those people. He wouldn't. And I felt like that was one of the highlights of the episode in terms of the writing. It fits in line with his right wing way of thinking, as you pointed out, Mike. So I thought that was cool, and I like Shirley, and I'm glad she's recurring more frequently as well. And her and Ruby together were cool. I liked the scene where they kind of started to figure each other out, and how Shirley's like, "You're one of us. You're doubting. You're realizing that like all is not right." And I liked the scene where she starts saying Ruby starts saying bad things about Conrad, and they're like, "You could get arrested for saying that." And then she's like, "Conrad's a monster," and they were like, "Yeah, let's go." Like, that was fun. So I kind of liked how they were setting up Ruby in this as probably the way that the Doctor and Belinda were, or maybe still are, going to get out of this. Because I've probably said before, like, one of the aspects of Doctor Who I enjoy is when the companion kind of gets to take the wheel and be the main character, or be the one that knows what's happening to the Doctor, and they have to save the Doctor. I kind of like it when they spin that on its head and do it that way. And I thought that's where they were going with this, and then with the way the episode ended, I don't know where they're going with this, and if there's even a point to that aspect. I mean, one of my final thoughts on this discussion is going to be, I just hope everything makes sense and pays off next week. Like, that this two-parter will make sense. Yeah, Mike's just shaking his... this two-parter will make sense with its other half attached to it. I don't know. But at this point, I'm like, I'm really liking this part of the episode, but then I'm also not sure where it's going based on the end of the episode. But yeah. Fulya, do you have any thoughts on that? What did you think of Ruby and Shirley and that part of the story?
It was really nice to sort of see Shirley on screen again, and I wasn't sure what Ruby's role was in this. Like, she just pops up on the Doctor's doorstep being like, "Are you the Doctor?" and just starts like questioning things in front of him, and then later on we find that she's like, I don't know, she ended up being in this episode and didn't really do much, to be fair. Like, they planned to do something, but then nothing came of it, to be honest, from what they were trying to... They were trying to get up into the main pod, I'm assuming, in some way. But considering what was happening around them, and it happened so suddenly, they couldn't do anything about it. So that was a little bit disappointing to me, where we didn't really get to see that sort of play out a bit more. But it was nice to see that these, what looks like a homeless camp, were of people who had some form of disability, right? And it was like, oh, okay, so this wish world is, a perfect world where there is no disability, apparently, or any people who doubt the system. So when they end up bringing Ruby back to where they were living, I was just like, huh, okay. But they were still okay with having her there, right? So, because she's an able person. But the thing is, she's doubting. She's doubting the world. So yeah, it was nice to see them on screen. It was nice how they kind of played together, but I was just a little bit disappointed that nothing else really came out of that. So yeah,
that's fair. Mike, what about you? You agree with us similarly, or what do you reckon? Do you think this episode would have changed had Ruby not been included? Maybe.
No, they're probably setting something up for the second part which, yeah, unfortunately, Ruby doesn't really have much to do. Just be, just to be part of the overarching story. And I think there's more to it than just, okay, something's weird. We need to fight back, and then all of a sudden everything just collapses. That's why I'm thinking there's a lot more, but we'll kind of find out next week. It's weird. Yeah, I do like the fact that in the ideal world of a person who is conservative, we need to have just able-bodied, like, nice-looking people, and that's it. We don't need quote unquote the freaks. Don't need anything like that. It's just normal, everyday people. You need to put everyone through the circle, and I've got this peg. Yeah, and a lot of the discourse of like what this new Who is over in the UK is like, why do we need like disabled people on television? We don't need this. It needs to be ideal and all that. So it's sort of art imitating real life in a way, and it's just making a running commentary. The only problem is there's too many things, and you need to stick to one thing, and hopefully there will be a payoff in the second half.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. It gives me hope to hear you say that Ruby's there because they're setting up something. Because yeah, otherwise, yeah, what is the point of having her here? Considering she hasn't really done much yet. So, yeah, that makes sense. One can only hope. Cool. Let's switch gears now and let's talk about our villains of the episode. We're getting to see the Rani in full action. And I think they're a great villain. I like the Rani and Mrs. Flood, aka A Rani. Part of me wishes it was just Flood, and not the bi-generation situation. Because I don't love how Mrs. Flood's sort of taken a back seat to the Rani, and I feel like that's very obviously setting up she's gonna switch sides. She's gonna sabotage the Rani's plans at some point. So that's a bit predictable and unfortunate, but no, because I feel like Mrs. Flood is kind of villainous enough to carry this by herself, I think. But I don't know. We'll see. That being said, I like Archie Panjabi's take on the Rani. I think like I said last week, she's a great actress. I've seen her in a bunch of stuff, and she's always a very good presence on screen. And getting her to kind of be all mustache twirly with the Doctor and the characters here is fun. Like, it's a fun, campy Doctor Who villain. And that's kind of cool. I don't bump up against it. And I mean, we're gonna go into it, I'm sure, at the end, but for all the talk of, over exposition that we got in this episode towards the end, I loved the fact that she actually pointed that out. It was like, I'm not just giving you exposition, I'm doing this. And I was like, okay, Russell T knows what he's doing, but also you don't need to be that exposition-y. Yeah, because it just makes it worse. But yeah, I found her plan was a bit weird too, in the sense of, if you have this god who can make wishes, like, I'm guessing the established law is that this god is a conduit through which you have to use someone as the conduit to get the thing to work, because otherwise why doesn't she just wish for Omega to come back? So I'm guessing there's some kind of maybe there. I
But-
don't know.
It's sort of explained in the episode where she needs something more. She needs doubt that's more powerful than just average human. They needed
Yeah,
a
I got that. Yeah, that made sense. Like, I understood that she needed, like, because the whole time watching it, I was wondering why has she put the doctor in this world? Why is the doctor here? Like, I'm guessing to keep him distracted and occupied while she carries out plans. But then I was also like, I'm not entirely buying it. And then when she's like, I need you as a Time Lord specifically because your doubt will carry the most power and allow me to break free Omega from his hellish prison or whatever it is. Yeah, so I don't know. It was all just a bit. I mean, we've talked about it earlier and how
I think
convoluted it is, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the plan has not been hasn't been laid out, like all of it been laid out yet. I think there's certain elements that are still part of the second episode. It's just a taste for next week, where this is what needs to happen, but we still don't know why she wants to do this. Like, why release Omega?
Yeah, that's true. We don't really know the extent of her motivation. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, other than that, yeah, I kind of, as much as I hate Conrad, I kind of, he's fun to hate. And it's kind of like, it's funny to see him in a position of sort of weakness, that scene where he's like talking about to Mrs. Flood about this is taking all of me to sustain this world, using the baby and telling the story. It very yeah, it was kind of fun just to see that, like, how much of a douchebag he is, and then he's kind of taken down a peg, and he's kind of a prisoner in a sense, like he's being used. Like, the second he's not needed anymore, the Rani is absolutely going to dispose of him. So I'm curious to see what his fate will be, whether or not he'll end up back in prison, or he'll get out, or he'll just be killed because he's a fucking douchebag.
A fate worse than death.
Yes. Yeah. What did you think, Fulya, about this episode and seeing the Rani in full power, I guess?
Yeah, the Rani was an interesting villain. I'm still very unsure about the Rani and what her motives are. Yeah, look, honestly, I'm not quite sure of her as a villain, because it just feels like she's kind of forcing it in a way. Like, she's trying, like, because we don't know why she's doing all of this, it feels like she's just being evil for the sake of being evil. The fact that she's about to destroy a world or something like that, like, it doesn't make any sense. Because we just don't have the reason for it. So yeah, I don't really know what else I could really say about her right now, just because we didn't really, like, we got a lot of dialogue from her with her explaining everything, but trying to get the doctor to remember, but it gave no explanation about her. I get she's, she's like the last time lady, but yeah, there's got to be more to that, right? There is definitely history between her and the doctor, and given that she said, like, don't you remember us? I thought for a second she meant something along the lines of they had like some relationship or something back on Gallifrey. So yeah, I need more. As much as I don't want more information, I need more information about her.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, Mike, perhaps you have some more information for us. as someone who's seen the Rani in classic, how did this version of the Rani work for you here in the episode?
It hasn't yet, and I
Mm.
don't really have much information than what I do have on Classic Who. Because as I said, she's more of a scientist, and this is a weird move, and we don't know how she survived the Time War. We don't know if she's ever been back to Gallifrey, and the last time we saw Gallifrey it was destroyed by the Master. So, and one of the theories is she's bringing back Omega to bring back Gallifrey, which is interesting. But Omega, one of his main contentions is he wants to escape from his prison to destroy the Time Lords because they didn't help him get out of his black hole. Basically, he fell into like this void, and he's a big where the void is sort of made up of antimatter, and if he ever escapes, then he'll meet matter, and of course, when antimatter meet matter, it explodes. So you can't really have that. So that's why I'm sort of confused, and I don't know why intentions are doing this, because I didn't expect Irani to actually have this sort of deal to bring back people. If she wanted to do this, surely she should have done it like earlier. It's like there's a couple of years, decades that she hasn't been around, and she's, I don't know. Like the last time we saw Irani, she fell into a black hole herself. So, and we've also got audio adventures dealing with the Irani as well, dealing with Irani as well. But I don't think that's going to be part of the new canon of what this is doing.
Right. So
it's a bit weird. Mrs. Flood, on the other hand, is an interesting case because she's in this episode. She feels like she's been mistreated, and I don't know, what is she planning? She's doing something. She might do a heel turn. We don't know. Giving Conrad a sandwich. And she's the one that sort of made everything fall into place. Maybe her setting the Irani, not a Irani, but the Irani as like a scapegoat, like putting yourself as an scapegoat, but it's a bi generational thing. So it's sort of strange. I still think Mrs. Flood's got something to do, and I think the Irani is like a bit of a scapegoat. Maybe, I don't know. It's a weird. That's why it's a weird episode, and I'm still coming to terms of why this episode exists, except for just treading water until the next one. I think that's why over in the UK, they're actually going to release this episode as well as the last episode together on the big screen. So,
cool.
Essentially, I think it'll probably make a bit more sense if we watch this episode and the last episode together, just to tie it all together. And yeah, it's just weird. Conrad, he's a pathetic character, a patsy. Because I don't know, Irani needs like the imagination of a conspiracy theorist to get everything like working, because humans have an ornate ideal for imagination and just wishes. Yeah, I'm in the same boat when he runs out of his worth. He'll probably be discarded, which makes sense because when you're in the right wing pipeline, you're only useful until you're not, and then until you're done. Which is sort of an interesting commentary when it comes to real life. Yeah, and Omega. Shall we talk about Omega?
Yeah, let's.
Well, he's a Time Lord. He's one of the first Time Lords. He invented time travel for the Time Lords. So, and that's an interesting thing. Irani's got a time machine, which we haven't seen. Explain that one, please, for next week. Just traveling and keeping tabs on the Doctor. It's like, why can't you do it yourself? Which is weird. Yeah, so Omega, in the first episode that we see him in, is the 10th anniversary episode. So it's a multi-Doctor story with the first 3 Doctors. And the Doctor has been tasked to find out what's going on, where all these creatures are starting to pop up out of nowhere, and it seems like they're bits of antimatter like entering our world. And so we're trying to find out what it is, who it is, and then they go into this sort of realm / space of antimatter, and all of a sudden we get to find Omega, who is essentially a god of Time Lords, even though he's the first Time Lord, and him and Rassilon are part of the same sort of three fathers of Time Lords. It's Omega, Rassilon, and the Other, which is named the Other, and a lot of people are speculating that was originally going to be the Doctor until he sort of jumped out of there and he became a renegade. But ever since the Time Baby, what's it called? Jeez,
Timeless Child.
Timeless Child. Ever since Timeless Child, they sort of thrown that theory out, and yeah, he was doing experiments, and because time travel is all about like black holes and wormholes and all that, so he harnessed that energy, and he made sort of the time machines that they use now, or these TARDISes. And one experiment went wrong, and he fell into the void of antimatter, and he can't escape otherwise. And he's been there, isolated. He's alone, and he turns mad with grief, mad with pride, and the only way he's alive is because his own determination. It's the 70s. Everyone was doing drugs, and he turns. It's like the dark side of my mind, and apparently he doesn't have a physical form. He doesn't have a physical body, which is quite an interesting take. He doesn't have. He's corporeal, or whatever that word is. And so the next time we see him, he needs like a physical body to enter our world, and he sort of has a clone version of the Doctor at the time, Peter Davison. So it's probably going to be interesting if they get a Peter Davison cameo in the next episode, just to do that maybe. And he tries to enter our world, but the body was not formed properly, so it was just dying at the same time, and it's like, I'll be free, and then he dies, and he probably goes back to where he came from, and it's like as a spirit. So he's sort of like a god, really. It's like he's everywhere and not everywhere, and all that. So yeah, so that's Omega. He's a weird chap, and very over the top. So it's going to be a very interesting take, because previously with Surtek, they actually got the original guy who played Surtek, but unfortunately, the person who played Omega, there was two, and they're no longer with us, so it's going to be someone new, someone different. And a lot of people are saying, get Matt Berry. It's like, no. No. It needs to be someone with gravitas, and I don't know. And not just, it's like, I'll get you, Doctor. We don't want that.
No,
Maniacal, laughing, that sort of thing. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah. And he wants to escape and take down the Time Lords because they didn't help him get out. It's like, we're the last of the Time Lords, haha. But once he gets out, it's like, what do you mean there's no more Time Lords? What am I to do now? Make Gallifrey come back? No, I'm not doing that. So it's weird. It's weird where things are going to go. I don't know.
Cool.
Sometimes it's good to not know.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to wait and find out. Yeah. Do we have much left to discuss in the ending? Because we've kind of touched on it a little bit. You know, we mentioned the London falling through the earth into nothingness.
London falling in the crowd.
Nice. Yeah, and we don't know the fate of our hero. You know, the Doctor remembers who he is, and you know, gets, you know, he's plummeting away at the end, quite perilous.
And he says something very cryptic.
Yeah.
Don't you understand? Poppy is real. What?
Yeah.
What does Poppy have to do with this?
And then the fact that
he's
like, I have a daughter, and Poppy is real, and all this stuff, and yeah. So lots of questions that need answering. Before I throw to Fulya for your final and whatever you have left to say on the ending, because I've got nothing else. I just was overjoyed with the appearance of Rogue in this episode. I literally, the moment he appeared on the screen, I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh my god, because that was one of my favorite episodes from last year. It was very, very cool to see him again. But then him being like, yeah, I'm probably about to die. I'm like, oh no, don't come back and then disappear forever. But it was really random for him to appear, because I kind of liked, you know, we were wondering last week if we were going to see Susan again, and then Susan showed up in a blink, and then it was Rogue that showed up and actually did the saving with the, you know, tables don't do that nugget of information. So it's weird that it was Rogue and not Susan that said the line, but I mean, I was just happy to see him again, so I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide. But yeah, apart from that certainly was an episode of television. Fulya, your final thoughts?
I don't know that I have final thoughts. I think I've pretty much said everything I needed to say. It was just a very confusing episode for me. So hopefully this final episode of the season will tie it all together and make this episode make sense. That is my hope.
That is the hope. Yes. Yes. That is definitely what we all share. Okay, Mike, take us home. Any final thoughts from you?
Considering this is going at the moment, season 3 hasn't been greenlit. So this could be the last of the Disney money coming in. So it could be that Russell T is sort of banking on this is going to be the end. So there's a lot of things that haven't been explained yet. Ruby, I think Ruby's backstory hasn't been quite fulfilled just yet, because explain the snowing, please. And that hasn't been explained yet. Master in the Tooth. That tooth has been picked up by who? Maybe Mrs. Flood. Don't know.
Maybe Mrs. Flood. Yeah.
So, a contingency plan. So, a lot of people are speculating that the Master will be coming back because there's a theory that Master is going to be part of that Sea Devil versus Unit spin-off series. So this is probably a backdoor from that. Yeah. My biggest theory is that that this whole new Who has all been taking place in a weird sort of pocket dimension of a different story, because everything sort of doesn't make sense, and there's like new stuff coming in from old stuff that hasn't been really explained, and it just feels a bit clunky, and it's all to do with Mavity. I'm still harping on Mavity.
I hope that gets explained soon.
I'm thinking this is going to be the end of Mavity.
I hope so.
Because I'm thinking, ever since the Doctor sort of changed the trajectory of Mavity, I think everything just sort of has been going nuts, and that predates like the Celestial Toymaker, as well as putting the salt at the end of the universe, and all these gods coming in. So therefore, this will probably be the end of this era of Doctor Who by the end of next week's episode. Having said that, I think we are all watching a big fan fiction of Doctor Who. This has all been written by like a big fan of Doctor Who, which is Russell T Davies, but we sort of see it with Lux, where we get to see Doctor Who fans in the show, and everyone's been clamoring to bring back all these different characters. Like everyone's been wishing Arani to come back. I don't know why. I wasn't in that bandwagon, because the Arani's only been in two episodes and they were a bit shit. So I wasn't really going after that, because ever since Missy, it's like, oh, is she the Arani? No, she's a different person, which I'm not going to talk about because spoilers for Kendall. And have to watch what I say. And also, people have been wanting Omega to come back as well, because Rassilon came back. Therefore, why don't we have an episode of Rassilon? And everyone was thinking that the ending of Flux was going to have Rassilon, because they're dealing with a space that isn't part of time and space. And so, are we going to introduce Rassilon? Nah, it's part of the Timeless Child sort of narrative, which could affect into the next episode as well, because we could be dealing with that, the Doctor's timeline, if Susan's coming back, and they're going to be all explained. And maybe because Russell T thinks 4D chess is a thing, where Arani is talking about, you know what, too much explanation, and this is it. I'm thinking he's probably going to do. It's like, well, I'm doing this explanation, but do you really like this explanation? Because I like the Doctor when it's. This is Russell T talking, but through his characters that he's doing in this show. Do you like? Maybe there's a turn the camera. It's like, do you really like this explanation? I think we're going to. Yeah, I think we're going to bring back the sort of the weirdness of Doctor Who, but as well as not to explain anything. I think the Doctor needs to be like obscure, and I mean, it's called Doctor Who for a reason. And Conrad has a book of Doctor Who
that looks like Harry Potter.
That looks like Harry Potter, but still he's still name dropping Doctor Who.
That was weird.
He's calling him Doctor Who. So I think this is all going to be part of that. It's like, well, we're going to be all in this big fan fiction, and we got to get out of it. We got to get out of Mavity. We got to get out. So I'm thinking it's that. but I could be very bitterly disappointed if it's not. And that's my biggest concern, as well as a lot of people. I'm thinking it's probably going to be a multi-doctor story as well, because there is word that we might be getting classic and also new doctors coming back. There's a big chance that maybe the 14th Doctor is coming back.
Ooh.
And they're going to smash into each other, and then and that'll be the end of bi-generational things as well. It's just going to be a big, heavy reset for Doctor Who. And there's also something
another reset.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, and I'm not going to mention this because I don't want it to happen, but it's very highly likely that it's going to happen. So I'm not going to mention it here because, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Have I got anything else? Because Russell T did say he wants Doctor Who to be a bit more like Marvel. So I'm thinking there's probably going to be a on your left situation.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All
As I said, I'm hyping this up, but I'm going to be bitterly disappointed.
Yeah. I for your sake, Mike, I don't want your to be better than what they actually present us next week, but
Well,
we
that's the
can
thing.
cross our fingers.
When it comes to Doctor Who, I'm nothing adds up and nothing pans out, and that's what it's like to be a Whovian, being bitterly disappointed, but you still watch anyway because you still like the sort of show, I guess. I'm done.
Great. Which means we're done.
Yes.
Yay. All right. Those are our thoughts on the penultimate episode of Doctor Who, Wishworld. Let's hope that next week we get some satisfying conclusions, solutions.
Yes, answers than questions.
Yes, we're not confident in that hope whatsoever. But we're gonna, like you just said, Mike, we're gonna watch regardless. So we will be here next week to talk about it. But until then, that's the show. We are done. We are done. We are done.
We're out of here.
We're out of here. A 1, a 2, a 3, and
that
was
a podcast called Fred.
Remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky for the latest Fred content.
If you like to listen to Fred the Alien, you can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.
If you'd like to watch Fred the Alien, you can head over to youtube.com/Fred the Alien Productions. And if you're watching us right now, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of future content like this one. And if you'd like to, if you're watching us on Twitch right now, make sure to hit the follow button, twitch.tv/Fred the Alien Twitch.
Yes, I've been a Kendall Richardson.
I've been a Fulya and Michael.
And I've been the man that's going to have a haircut next week, so I'm going to look different. I'm Michael Lister.
And you've just experienced a
podcast called Fred. Transitioned.
Yes. Remember to eat beef.
Remember, Freddy lives, Loki dies, the Doctor is in, and I'm not looking forward to the last episode of The Last of Us, because stuff happens that's going to trigger me, and I'm going to punch a wall, blah, blah.
Yes, remember to look after yourself and your mental health.
Yes,
True
on that
that.
note.
Talk to Gail.
Absolutely.
Talk
Talk
to
to
Gail.
Gail. Poor Gail. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, ladies, gators.
And
Scene.
All right.